time as this.
And welcome to for such a time as this round table. We are out of YouTube jail. Don't you worry, we'll be back soon. So that's why we want to encourage you to go to our webpage. Please go to our webpage. For such a time as this .today, for such a time as this .today, not .com, not .org, .today. Please go to for such a time as this .today. There you can find our newest material, whether we are in Facebook jail or not. Or if you would like to, please send us an email for sucha@gmail.com, for sucha@gmail.com. That way you can always let us know what's going on in your heart and in your mind. If you would please kindly give us a thumbs up to let us know we are coming through loud and clear. But we here at For Such a Time as This, as always, we try our best to give you today's news through a biblical world view. Tonight we have what roundtable here, Mr. Ben, Miss Abby, and Miss Vicky. Hello, round table.
Hello.
Hello.
So what we're going to do tonight, there's just so many things going on, so much to talk about, so many reasons to cry, but we won't cry. We're not going to cry. We are victorious.
Not tonight, anyway.
Not tonight, anyway.
Not into the microphone.
Not into the microphone.
That's right. Do that at home. Do that at 4 a.m.
Save it for our pillows.
So what we're going to do is we're going to go around the various topics that's going on and get a Christian worldview. It would really do us fine to get some input. Thank you, Isoka. I don't know. I'm sorry. It was Soka. I'm sorry. I think I can't see, but I think that's how you pronounce your name. You've been with us several times. Thank you for the thumbs up.
More than
yeah, it's been a while.
A couple of years.
Yeah,
I think.
I remember from the beginning. So here's our first video. What we're going to do is actually go around a bunch of topics that are hot today. Here is the first one. If you have faith in the American people, if you have faith in the generation that is to come, as if they're going to clean up this mess, this is what public education and the education system in the United States of America is producing. Here we go with our first video.
How many stars are on the United States flag?
103?
103?
Yeah. 32.
What ocean is on the east side of the United States?
What ocean? Can I Google it?
You guys know this.
I know this. I don't know this.
What country is the Queen of England from?
I'm not a politics guy. I ain't gonna lie. I don't know. I really don't know.
Just take a guess. Like, what country is the Queen of England from?
Europe? I don't know. I don't know. I just took a guess.
What's the capital of the United States?
There's a capital? What?
Yes.
Lexi.
Take a guess.
I don't know. Probably California.
Yeah, that's right.
It is?
No. The United States, do we know?
Stop! I knew he was gonna embarrass us.
I know, wait. I didn't want to think because I don't want to sound dumb.
Well, just...
There's no capital of the United States. Is there no capital?
Correct.
Was that right?
No.
Oh,
You guys are UCLA
we literally
students?
go to UCLA. It's, yeah.
Who was the first president of the United States?
Abraham Lincoln?
Can you name the 3 Kardashian sisters?
Kim, Courtney, and Chloe.
What are the 3 Kardashian sisters' names?
Courtney, Kim, and Chloe. Chloe, Kim,
Courtney.
and Courtney. Yeah.
Bonus points for the brother?
Robert.
The Kardashians' brother's name. What?
Rob.
What are the Kardashian sisters' names?
I don't even know. I ain't gonna lie. I don't know.
That one, you get respect from me on that one.
Vicky in studio had to take off her earphones.
It's painful to listen to that. It's really painful. It
and
hurts
it's
my ears.
easy. It's easy to laugh. It is very, very easy to laugh at that. These were not. How can I say this? According to our standards, ignorant. Some of them was UCLA students.
Right.
This is
Which
what-
means that they made it through at least 12 years of school.
And not only that, Abby, they're university students. These are the people who get to vote, and their vote is equal to yours, Abby, on the say of who runs our states and our country. How did we get to this point? I mean, it's easy to criticize them, but how is this possible? I'm telling you.
I'll tell you how I think it's possible. Because I was looking at the Illinois schools report card this actually just yesterday, just doing some research. So we have this thing in Illinois. It tells, what percentage of students it's broken down by school, and it tells what percentage of students are meeting their grade standards. And so we are told here, and I can't even tell you how many times I've heard we have such great schools here. We have such great schools here. Mm-hmm. So I actually looked at a couple schools in the area. And I looked at the grade schools, I looked at the high schools, less than 50%, in some cases like 30%, like 20% were meeting standards in math, in English, and in science.
30%? That means 70% were not.
Yes, in some cases.
Wow.
Yes, I think the best one was like our flagship school, William Fremd, right? And it was like 60% were meeting standards, which means 40% aren't at grade level. And yet, and here's the kicker, because we're doing this, we held a school event last week,
which we'll talk about later on.
Yes, it's in large part, I think, because they are basically teaching social engineering.
Yes.
And psychological and running psychological experiments on kids
And
instead of
sexualizing
teaching.
them.
Yes.
Yeah,
instead
they're
of
not
teaching their core subjects, they are way out of their
Abby,
lane.
not only are they not teaching facts. I mean, I don't know. He must the guy must have just been nervous. What country is the Queen of England from?
He wasn't nervous. He thinks Europe is a country.
Oh, he did say that, didn't he?
Yes, he did.
This is pretty common too, because there are even questions like on a YouTube video where this guy was asking, like, well, what party was Abraham Lincoln was part of, and they would all say Democrat. I'm like, that is such a. You learned this in grade school in Civil War that he was Republican. Like, I just like, wow, like people don't even know that. Like,
Oh, well, that would be like calculus compared to some
Yeah.
of these
Compared to
questions.
I can get that.
That's
No, I can't. But
still,
it's
I knew that by when I was like 5th grade.
which ocean is on the east side of
Yeah.
the country?
That-
How many stars are on the flag? These people
this
should
is
not
like
be voting.
4th grade stuff.
That's what I'm saying.
Like,
Listen,
do they not talk? Do their parents not talk to
I'm
them?
telling you, growing up in Louisiana in the 70s and 80s, I had a lot of guys. How shall we say? Wasn't college material. They knew the answers to these questions. They knew the answers to these questions. They knew who the first president of the United States
How
was.
do you not know that?
Well, we have someone here at our church who actually works in the schools, and she's in the classroom, and she says they're not teaching anything. They spend so little time actually on the core subjects. She is just shocked and dismayed.
Wow, that's so sad.
So yeah,
Well-
I think that's what's happening.
Well, that is heartbreaking. Thank you, Laura. I'm sorry. You know what, Laura? You have told me your name several times, I am sure. Because once I saw Laura, I was like, oh, yeah, that's Laura. So for those who say, what just happened? For those who say that they have faith in our, there was a little glitch there. Okay, we're still streaming. For those who say they have faith in the next generation, that's the generation you say you have faith in. Good luck with that. Here's our next video that I'm going to ask the roundtable to react to. There is someone who is running again for the governorship down in Georgia. What you do not know is that this person is a great theologian who is going to explain to you the scriptures as it pertains to abortion. Here she is.
We live in a state that right now has decided to take cruelty to a new level. I am the daughter of 2 pastors. I have a strong moral core. I was trained to read and understand the Bible, and I will tell you this. There is nothing about the decision to eliminate access to abortion care that is grounded in anything other than cruelty and meanness and danger in the state of Georgia. Nothing. Abortion care is a medical issue. It is a medical decision, and in the state of Georgia, it is a dangerous one. Brian Kemp, and yes, I'm going to call his name, is a hard-right religious extremist who has decided that he knows better than any woman about her body and has decided to make women second-class citizens in the state of Georgia in the year of our Lord, 2022.
Well, there you have it. The great theologian. What say ye, round table?
Well, she doesn't even use any scripture. I'm just appalled by that. What she's saying. It's like, who is she to say these things? Honestly.
She is the next governor of the state of Georgia, according to the Democrats.
Right.
There's nothing in the Bible that prohibits abortion, as she says. It's rooted in cruelty.
It's rooted in cruelty. Apparently.
So let me tell you about a second trimester abortion. They take this instrument and they grab anything they can, an arm, a leg, a head, a chest, and they pull. They dismember the baby. That is a second trimester abortion. For her to say that preventing that from happening and allowing the child to
cruelty.
Live is cruel.
But that's not cruel. Abortion is not cruel.
Oh, my. It's upside down world. Every day in
Bizarro
America.
world.
Yeah. Yes, today it's just upside down.
Do you know what I mean by bizarro world?
Well, bizarre is what I'm thinking.
Bizarro. Do you know what a bizarro was?
No.
Ben? Bizarro was the backwards Superman in the Justice League in the cartoons in the 70s. Bizarro. He was backwards. He comes from a world that was backwards.
Oh.
And so whenever you say bizarro world,
I did not know
that's
that.
a reference to that. I start thinking, what? When I say that, I think I take things for granted. Bizarro can't. Everything right was left, left was right, up was down, down was up. So it's a bizarro world.
I thought you were just saying bizarre in a
Bizarro was his name.
Different way.
Yeah, in the Justice League. It's a bizarro world. Everything's up. It is unbelievable that nowadays a woman can stand in church and say what she says with impunity.
It's incredible.
And
truly.
that the ministers, quote unquote ministers, will allow her to get away with things like that. And if you've listened to me for any amount of time like you have, Laura, I believe that this is the great delusion. Again, I won't die on that hill. God has not come to me in a dream or anything like that. So I'm very particular when people say, well, God told me. God didn't tell me. I'm looking at this world and I see lunacy all over the place. I believe we're under judgment. Again, I'm not going to die on that hill. We're under judgment. And the great delusion has begun, the delusion spoken of in Thessalonians, that she can see it's cruel to stop the cruel acts of abortion. Is a bizarro world. It's upside down.
Right.
I will never understand the left's love of the murder of the innocent unborn. I mean, we know so much more now
Yes.
than we did in 1972.
Yes.
We know these babies feel pain. We know, like Abby just mentioned, how these abortions, we have former abortionists explaining in detail how they did these abortions. And if you haven't seen the movie Unplanned, I highly recommend it, by a woman who worked at Planned Parenthood for many, many years, had abortions herself, and then finally when she saw on the ultrasound the baby trying to get away from the instrument, that's when she broke down and realized, oh wow, this baby can actually feel what's going on.
You know, I don't know. It was like 25 years ago. About 25, 26 years ago, when I heard the term partial birth abortion. And then I for the first time, because again, this is when the internet is starting to come online, right? Yeah. And so I looked it up. I forget what year it was. And I like, wait a minute. I had to turn it off. I had to turn it off when they were explaining what a partial birth abortion was. And I had to finish reading it. And I remember going to my father at the time, who was a hardcore Democrat. And I started to explain to him what partial birth abortion was. And he yelled out, stop, 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 stop. James, I don't want to hear that sick stuff no more. I said, sick stuff, this is who you're voting for. He said, you are not going to convince me that what you were describing to me is legal in the United States of America. I do not believe that what you were describing is legal. There's no way you can convince me that that's legal. The Democrats don't do that because there's no way that's legal. I said, no, Dad, it is. No, I don't believe that. I don't believe that.
I didn't believe it either. It was before I became a believer. My mother told me about it because I had never heard of it. And I thought, oh, Mom, you've got something wrong. That can't possibly be. And because I knew, too, I thought all the...
You told your mom that?
No, my mom told me about it. This is before I was a believer.
Oh.
So she described it to me. And I'm like, that can't be right. Mom... I'm thinking she must have her facts wrong.
Yeah,
she's not understanding.
Yeah.
Because who would support that, right?
Yeah. It's
Boy, oh boy.
Unbelievable. So, you know what? Laura, you said she's down by 5 points against Kemp, and Walker is up by 5 over the Reverend Warnock. He is a reverend from whom is the question. A minister of whom? But they had Warnock up by 12, 13 points against Herschel Walker. I have a pastor friend in Georgia said there's no way that Herschel Walker loses the election.
Really?
In Georgia, he says there's no way he's going to lose Georgia.
Wow.
Herschel Walker is never going to lose Georgia. But I'm like, JT, they may steal. He said that's about the only way. They're going to do a lot of stealing. And Kemp, I don't believe Kemp loses to her. That would be, her speaking like that in Georgia, I don't know. All right. Here's the next clip. Talking about voting, let me show you one of the most racist things I've seen in a long time. Here it is.
In my own state, they are going to attempt to pass a constitutional amendment, making sure that universal voting ID for every time you vote, not just when you sign up to vote, but every time you vote, because they understand that at any given time, there's tens of thousands of Pennsylvanians who typically are on the poorer side and are people of color that are less likely to have their ID at any one given time.
You just heard the racists. And every once in a while, the Democrats slip up and they show you who they are. Not all Democrats, of course, but I think a lot of Democrats. That's not why, at least the Republicans, want a voter ID, because they know that many times the poor and the black don't have IDs. That's racism of themselves. They just want people who are dead to stop voting.
Right.
They just want people who are not supposed to vote.
Now, who wants it?
The Republicans.
Okay.
The Republicans don't want people voting who should not be voting,
right,
who aren't citizens.
Right.
And the Republicans want dead people to stop voting. Mm-hmm. That's what the Republicans, out of their own mouths, that's their reasoning. He has to attach a more sinister reasoning that the Republicans know that blacks don't have IDs. How do you look at that as a black person in Pennsylvania and vote for that man. He just slipped up and told you what he thought about you.
Because they will never see it.
Who will never see it? Who will never see it?
Most blacks will never see that video.
That's on his website.
On what website?
His. He's running for Senate in
do you
Pennsylvania.
think they're going to... Well, most
They're
people do not do
research.
research. Most people don't do research, at least on the other side. And you know what? Because I've seen those kind of videos before. Like the setup is exactly the same, and they go like they do what we did in the first video. They'll go interview a whole bunch of usually young people about what is called voter suppression mystically. And then I think maybe
Ami Horowitz.
Ami Horowitz did one. Then he went and interviewed blacks and asked them if they had an ID, and they're looking at him like
of course
we do. What's wrong with you?
I know.
Why are you asking me that?
Yeah.
Who doesn't have an ID?
Dr. Oz, who's running against him in Pennsylvania, needs to take that video and plaster it all over Pennsylvania, all over Philadelphia, right? All over Pittsburgh. And he needs to say this guy's racist.
Right.
This is what he thinks about you black
He
people.
thinks you're too stupid to
Yeah.
have an
You're
ID.
too stupid. You don't have an ID. I mean, that needs to be a political ad.
Yeah.
That needs to be a political ad. But we live in Chicago, y'all. Dead people vote all the time. And
This
it
city
is,
has more dead people voting than.
do you remember
Probably.
the joke
The
the
rest
joke
of the
the joke
country.
that I had to I almost had to go change my underwear on was a joke that came on. It said many people question whether or not that they actually got Bin Laden, and many people said the reason why they never showed you the actual dumping of the body or the body itself because it's like they never got him. He's still alive. That was all a ruse for Obama to claim victory and to let him go. But we finally have proof that that Osama bin Laden is dead. He showed up on the Democratic voting roll. That's how the joke goes.
That's a good joke.
That's the proof that he's dead. So again, it's just. I hate to say this. I hate to do this, but again, Christians are arbiters of truth. We are in trouble. Our society is burning down around our ears.
Sure is.
This is a clip from Chicago. When you get to a point where the police are not only not respected but are disrespected in the form of violence, and the police are so handcuffed that they can't do anything, and one of our most populous cities in this country, Chicago is popularly known as the second city behind New York when it comes to sports and restaurants and the stock exchange and all that. This is the police force in the second city, people. Round table, when you see things like that, what comes to mind?
Lawlessness. It's evil. I mean, what are they trying to accomplish here? I mean, it's evil.
How did we get to this point? I mean, it's almost. I mean, you have to be able to see that handcuffing police in such a way will lead inevitably to anarchy.
Of course.
Yeah.
And yeah, this is you have to be able to see that, which means they know it. They know
Right.
it.
Yeah, there are people who want that, who want to bring the country down. Period. And they aren't very. I don't know if that they're few in number at this point either, because so many people are facilitating it. And then you think about like the people who are still in federal prison without.
Oh my gosh.
From
yeah.
January 6th, I was listening to an interview about a guy. He threw a one of those orange road cones at one of a policeman, the Capitol policeman.
And he's in jail for that?
Yes. He's in, yes. And we're going to, and I don't even know, well, I guess so charges have been filed if we know what they've actually got on him. But this went on all the summer of 2020.
Yep.
In front of our eyes.
Yep. They got him on video.
And so we have at least a two-tier system of justice,
Yes,
if
we
you want
do.
to call it justice.
Double standard.
A two-tiered system of enforcement. It's not justice. You can't put justice anywhere in there.
Right. Yeah. Well, yes. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right. It's no longer innocent until proven guilty. It's who you are. It's who you support. It's who you know.
This is going to lead to a lot of
vigilantes.
Vigilantes. That's it. That's the term. Vigilantes. Vigilantism. Go ahead.
You know who wants this? I think China wants a civil war. He wants to divide. They want to divide in America.
They want to destabilize America.
Yeah.
Right.
And these DAs. Did you all hear this? That the DeSantis, there was the Broward County board that DeSantis fired all of them.
No, but I like it.
He fired all of them.
And I don't even know why yet.
And you know who told me that? Daniel Horowitz.
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Right, the Conservative Review.
Mm-hmm.
He was like, why aren't other red governors
Right.
exercising the power? Apparently, they were trying to create a two-tier system of enforcement, and I got to look this up, but this is what Daniel Horowitz is saying. He fired them all, just like he fired the DA who refused to do his job and prosecute.
Criminals.
He fired him.
Good.
Fired him, and I hope DeSantis fires all of them who refuses to do it. But they're creating. The evil man George Soros figured out that if he could capture the DAs, he didn't have to pass laws. He just got the person who would enforce the laws to not enforce them. And in that way, he could control the laws by the enforcement of them.
And I do believe that the new no cash bail law kicks in at the beginning
January
of
1.
the year.
January 1.
So if we think it's bad now.
At least in Illinois it does. In Illinois it does.
Yes.
And so the Socialist Republic of Illinois in January 1 will let out, I'm told, tons and tons of criminals. So what you just saw in Chicago, child's play. Child's play. It's child's play.
And it's said that the police, they can't do anything because their hands are tied. They don't want to get in trouble.
And if you do something, what's the point?
Right.
It's a revolving door.
They should just quit and just let them take the city.
I know it already is kind of, but it will totally be come January 1st.
And so we have to, again, we're arbiters of truth. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, this is not by accident. This is, and here's one thing you have to wrap around your mind. This is not incompetence.
No.
They are very competent in what they're doing.
Yes.
I just think a lot of people don't want to admit what they are seeing. They're very competent. They are doing exactly what they want to set out to do, and that is to stabilize America. And one front in which they're doing it is stop enforcing the laws and create anarchy to where police are not respected. Let me say this before we go on to our next video. From a Christian perspective, if someone actually got into office in Chicago and says, I'm going to stop this, and gives the police, what you just saw in that video, gives the police a shoot-to-kill order, what do you say as a Christian? Should those police line up the way they were in cars, get out and say disperse, and if they come to hit their cars again, they shoot to kill?
Well, I mean, I think there's other things you could do before you, I mean, if they weren't.
Like what?
Tear gas, stuff like that to disperse the crowd.
So you would go to tear gas?
Well, it's already been done, as you well know,
what has
Pastor
been done?
James. That's already been done by Mayor Daley. I think it was during the Democratic, was it 1960?
No, it was during the riots of MLK when he died.
Oh, I thought it was the Democratic
Pretty
convention.
sure it was the riots after MLK. Yeah.
And he made an announcement.
Yep. I know.
And
I'm saying, but what is the
said,
Christian
we will
view?
shoot to kill.
Shoot to kill.
And guess what?
There was no looting.
What?
The streets were gone. It was over.
The streets were empty.
Yep.
Okay.
No, because they knew old man Daley meant it. They were going to shoot to kill. Because he was trying to control the riots.
God.
And he just shoot to kill. But again, from a Christian perspective, Abby, is that right? Is that something from a Christian perspective?
Well, I like it.
I mean, if their lives are in danger, they have a right to defend themselves.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But not only that, what you're trying to do, I get you, Vicky. Let's start with the tear gas. Let's start with the dispersion.
Yeah, you can't run away.
You can't,
I mean, that's gotta.
They were running away.
I mean, no, I don't blame them under the present circumstances.
Sure.
But if this were a sane world, you cannot tolerate that. Period. Exclamation point. The police should never be expected to endure that.
Yeah.
And there are lots of
Correct.
things that could be done, like Vicky said, short of shooting people. Now, if you have people burning buildings down, I think that's something else, because now you're endangering people's lives.
Yeah.
If people, yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I think the only thing they understand is pain. Maybe batons go in there and hit a family. But if they don't, then.
But batons are dangerous.
Yeah.
Because while you have baton, they may have a gun. Do you see what I'm saying? That crowds like that, that's dangerous.
Yeah.
Batons are no match for a gun. Some sort of way. I'm all for not rubber bullets, forget rubber bullets. Tear gas, yes. But if this continues, if tear gas doesn't work, and they continue to challenge the police like that in a completely riled up way, you have to stop it, or you have no society.
Yeah.
True.
Mm-hmm.
You have none. And most people are looking at that in downtown Chicago and says, "Well, you did it." But when they come to your street,
Mm-hmm.
And what about all those store owners who got robbed in downtown Chicago? All those places got robbed and no one did anything.
Yeah.
Come on.
That's unacceptable.
That's unacceptable.
That's unacceptable. All right. This next video, it even hurts to. It really, really hurts to even play. But again, this is a front in which the enemy has opened up. It is the sexualizing of our children. And there's a lot of things I can understand why parents would take their children to drag queen story hours, while parents would take their kids to raunchy, very sexual pride parades, and why they would take their kids to a place where drag queens are quote unquote performing and give their kids dollars to give to drag queens is beyond me. Ladies and gentlemen, I bring you a clip from Sodom and Gomorrah.
So this is enlightened.
Right. This is enlightened. If you disagree with what you just saw, you're from the Dark Ages. I don't understand what benefit, from a parent's perspective, what benefit to your child to bring him or her to such an event? It's beyond me. I don't understand. Help me understand, Roundtable. What benefit?
I don't know how depraved you have to be as a parent to think this is a good use of time with your child. Like, it's abusive. It truly, to take your child to, it's disgusting, it's depraved, and it's abusive.
I suspect that a lot of those kids have LGBT parents, LGBTQ. There is amongst kids who have LGBT parents, and I keep forgetting to add the Q.
Abby, there's like two or three of them
I know,
after
but
that.
Q kind of covers it all.
An I and an A.
There's a 2 and an I or something. But anyway, go ahead.
I was going to say there's a much, much higher incidence of having LGBTQ kids. Is that accidental? Are they?
No.
They're born that
Train
way?
up a child in the way he should go.
Of course. Of course. It's learned. In a lot of cases.
And there are parents that, like my aunt, she's married to this guy, and they bring their twin kids who are like 4 or 5, probably 6 now. I haven't seen them in a while. They bring them to these LGBTQ parades in Chicago. And my mom's like, "What is she doing? What is she doing?"
Wait, this is a what of yours?
My aunt.
Is she part of the alphabet community?
I don't know.
You don't know?
I don't know. I don't talk to her, but she brings them there and with her husband, and she posts them on Instagram stories.
Oh my! And
goodness. I just say, "What are you doing to your kids?" And she has no shame. And I wanted to bring this up. I met my I don't think he's a friend any longer, but he's a teacher at CPS, and I asked him, if these transgenders are going in the bathrooms. And he said, yes. He's like, do you have a problem with that? I said, yeah, I have a big problem with that. And then he swore at me, and he said, you know what he said? And when I said, do you think your children would go in these locker rooms? And he's like, of course. I was like, of course? So you're okay with them being exposed? He's like, well, they're going to be exposed anyway. That was his argument. So how do I argue with someone like that?
I don't know if you can.
You can't.
Children are sexual from birth. That's what Kinsey told us, right?
It's so warped. So warped.
Yes, it absolutely is.
CPS teacher right there.
We need Christians to stand up and tell the truth. This is not right. This is sin to sexualize kids like that. And we need, again, the people of God to have a very clear voice that this is evil. And we're going to play one more video from the theologian from Georgia. And then we're going to talk about what we are trying to do here at New Hope to speak truth into these dark times. But I'll say it again, but I'll say it for the first time tonight here. If you don't go to a church who can say with a very clear and loud voice that this is wrong, these drag queen story hours is wrong. It's just the slaughtering of children in the womb is wrong. And if there's not enough light in your church to address these issues, then maybe, just maybe, you need to go to a church that has enough godly courage to do so. But don't go to a church like this one.
But it was here at St. Mark when the abomination of marches that started at churches on this street would come down Peachtree, reviling and castigating God's children, that I saw my parents live their faith. When my parents and the other members of this congregation came together and we stood out on those steps holding up signs in retribution to to those who were trying to take away God's grace. And we said, God loves gays. God loves you. You are welcome here. In that moment, it was this tiny black family, this predominantly white church, this non-English speaking El Salvadoran community, all standing there holding signs saying, welcome. That to me is the epitome of what my faith tells me to be. And that is why I will always be a member of St. Mark United Methodist Church. Because you will forever be the place where, as a young person, I had a chance to truly understand what a living faith looks like. It is one thing to post on social media, to whisper to your friends, but it is quite another in the face of scorn, in the face of a challenge to what you think you're supposed to do, to stand up and say, this is not right. We must do something else. It is that.
Yep, there you go.
I think that a living faith looks a lot like a living constitution.
She said a living faith. Is that what it is? Oh, is that what she means by a living faith?
I'm just saying, it doesn't mean anything.
I
right?
thought, you know what? I thought she was. I think in context, what she was talking about is James 2.
Living
can
it out.
Can a dead faith save you?
Probably so.
And so she's talking about a living. That's a living faith.
It made me think of a living constitution.
Yeah, I got you.
No.
I got you. But we have a dead faith, Abby, because we're not like her. That affirms the things like Laura just said. Babies and children getting monkeypox. Try not to think about it.
She never said. Yeah, go ahead.
No, I'm just saying. Try not to think about babies and children getting monkeypox.
Golly.
Yeah, thank you, Laura, for putting that in my mind. But yes, we know about that, Laura. I'm joking, Laura. But yeah, there's some very evil things going on here. But again, you know what I'm shocked about? At least in the African American community, they understood and they knew that abortion was wrong, that homosexuality was wrong, that any sex outside of marriage was wrong. It was just that they would give those issues over and say, you know what, but the Democrats do other things. And so the good outweighs the bad. That's not the case anymore. This woman could never, ever, ever, 70s obviously, the 80s obviously, I don't even think the 90s could have ever done that in Georgia and could have gotten over 10%. Because minorities wouldn't have voted for her. Blacks wouldn't have voted for that junk. Now it seems as though she can say these types of things. Let's see, maybe she gets crushed 80-20. I don't know. I doubt it because I'm hearing the politics of Illinois has gone to Georgia.
Great.
Right? But let's see. In our culture now, it is as if we do not know the difference between good and evil anymore. We do not.
Oh, clearly. And even when, you talk about that, I guess a lot of blacks would justify it, saying, well, look at all the good things they do. But had they been thinking clearly, they would realize, and I will stand by this, I have yet to encounter anything, any position that the Democrats take on anything that is good, that is right.
You're saying it's from a national Democrats.
Yes.
Because again, I told you that the Democrat Republican in Louisiana did sign a heartbeat bill.
Okay,
he's
but if you're talking
about the party platform.
Yes, the party platform nationally, yes.
But if you're saying they're looking at all these other things and they're saying, well, those things are bad, but look at all the good things they do. Even the things that were supposedly good ultimately did not have a good result if we're talking about the welfare state and all that.
No, I got that, but you're getting into the weeds now, see. So
oh, I'm sorry.
But even but I'm saying even like I said, don't the Democrats signed the heartbeat bill in Louisiana. Now, to me, it was 15 weeks. It should have been since conception. But do you think the Republicans in Illinois would have pushed for a 15-week ban? Of course not. No. Of course not. So
no, I'm not saying that means Republicans are good.
No, I know. So, I know. But again, so here we are in the Socialist Republic. Yes, Abrams is a narcissist. Yes, you're absolutely right. Is she a narcissist? I just really think she thinks she's the smartest person on earth. Well, that would make her a narcissist.
Well,
Yeah.
I think it's
So
kind of related.
I think she's got a lot of things. Yeah, narcissism is probably one of them.
Well, does she have Legion too? Vicky, what are you trying to say? So, but you've got to be a special type of person to go into church and say what she says, and not have a
not
clue
those
of
kind
what's
of
going
churches. Clearly,
on. Regardless,
Are they
abortion,
churches
and
or are
the
they
year of our
places?
Lord 2022 and the year of our Lord. I mean, the way that you can even. I was trained to read and understand the Bible. It's clear she's probably never read the Bible.
I don't think she has.
Past.
I think she's a sociopath.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. She
oh
has
yeah,
some, she has some issues.
I like that.
She clearly has some issues. But here we are at New Hope. We're trying to push back, just in a little way. Who would like to share? Last Thursday we had a meeting in which we actually showed a video. It's called the Mind Polluters. I think we did this 2 or 3 weeks ago, but it was Mind Polluters in which we showed it to our community, and had people in our basement, which said that they did not know it was this pervasive.
So wait a minute, we got to tell them what it's about.
The Mind Polluters.
It's about the
talking about the
sexualization.
sexualization of our children in public schools.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. All right. And so a lot of people say they didn't realize it was so pervasive and it was terrible as it was. And so what we're trying to do is create a groundswell to educate parents on the evils of what's going on in our public schools.
Right, and we actually had a really good turnout.
Yes,
I mean,
we did.
It was very encouraging, and people were appalled. If you get a chance to see this movie, I would recommend it.
It's a documentary.
Yes, it gets into Kinsey, which did we talk about Kinsey a couple weeks ago when we talked about the NSES standards, the National Sex Ed standards? Maybe we didn't get into Kinsey at all.
I don't remember.
I was thinking maybe we had on some anyway, which is the origin of the claim that children are sexual from birth, upon which a lot of the comprehensive sex ed in our schools rests, and when we tied it to materials that are in our schools, because a lot of people, they don't want to believe that. People are in denial. This could not be going on in my school. My second grader's teacher is great, et cetera, et cetera. But there are books, there like awful books, like perverse books in the library, and at the lower grade levels as well as the comprehensive sex ed, which comes to us from Springfield. So it was very encouraging. We're going to do it again, and what we're trying to do is to generate a groundswell of just parents and citizens and grandparents to stand up and protect kids in the schools. They so desperately need it. Our kids are under attack every way possible. It's so clear to me that with the fingerprints of Satan are on all this stuff.
Of course.
Yep.
Of course.
So yeah, we're going to do this a few months in a row and see where God takes it.
Yes. And again, it is calling sin, flat out.
Yes.
It is saying the truth that the wrath of God is coming against all manners of evil.
Amen.
And this is evil. And we're just going to implore people, please get right with God. He's coming. Yes. He's coming for this exact evil when you sexualize and do these abominations to children. So, anything else before we log off for tonight, Roundtable?
No, I'm good. Nope.
Again, I've noticed this whenever we do things that peel back the curtain of sexual things that's evil going on, we don't get as much bounce, and it seems like they look closer and closer at our YouTube channel. You know, the last time that they looked and went back 9 months and found something was actually we did the sexual stuff.
So we're probably going to get suspended.
So we'll probably get suspended again.
We've only got one strike left, right?
Yeah, but it'll drop off. But they'll find something else. I mean, I don't know.
Oh, I thought 3 strikes and you're out, period.
No, it's got to be within a certain time period.
Oh.
So that one dropped off, so we only got one. Then we got one. Oh, we've got more than 3. We've got like 4 of them, but it's got to be within a certain time period. So we got 1 strike now.
Okay.
Because one dropped off. But we will be suspended again. Trust me. So go to for such a time as this .today. For such a time as this .today, not .com, not .org, .today. And so when we're finally kicked off of YouTube, you could follow us. Until then, God bless. And see you later.
Good night, everyone.